Hey everyone, we're here with Andrew from I'm gonna butcher this fucking terribly. Hokugo Grind Time, is that right?
Houkago Grind Time. Close
O-
enough.
Okay, it wasn't so terrible.
Go over
Um,
it.
but so Andrew, thank you, man. I was just jamming out to the new EP and I'm really fucking digging it.
Thanks, dude. Um, so like the new album, I mean, I always feel like with a new album, I kind of want to do something a little bit different every single time. So I don't know if you've ever heard any of the previous albums
Mm-mm.
I put out as HGT. Um, but I think there's like a little bit of a style progression, and I learned because I record and produce everything in this basement, and I guess I learn a little bit more each time, and then I want to try different things. So, yeah, I'm really proud of the new one because I got to try a whole bunch of different things I haven't tried before, and kind of try a different spin on production.
So what does that look like? Like what are some of the things that you've learned that you tried with on this release versus the older ones?
Um, I'll say so. Like the last, the second album. So this one would be like the third album. The second album, I tried to have maybe more of like a traditional death metal kind of like more hi-fi approach to the drums and the guitar. And but I figured, this is it's like it's dirty gore grind, it's punky, it should sound dirty and nasty. So instead of like using all of the mics that I have set up, for the new one, I stripped it down to like I had one mic placed about like right here where I'm sitting, and then the close mics on like the snare and the kick, and then like for the guitars I just tried to make them sound like dirty and nasty, and maybe not like try to make them sound good in the traditional sense, like where you want something clean and super clear, you can kind of like hear every single detail. I'm like I'm just gonna crank it and make it sound really disgusting. And if people can hear what's going on, that's cool. Otherwise, it's kind of like all vibes.
Yeah. Well, I think that's the, you know, great thing about grind is like you get, it's metal, but it has a real punk feel to it, and it's dirty and it's nasty and it's not I love I'm gonna say this. I love like really clean, crisp recordings when it comes to like thrash and what have you. But when it comes to punk, I grind, that kind of shit. I want it dirty. I want it nasty. I want to feel like someone just just recorded it in their garage and there's, a bunch of traffic outside. Like that's,
Do you know Disclose from Japan?
I do not.
Oh, Disclose, they're like this old Japanese Discharge clone band. But they kind of started like a trend where everything's super raw and it sounds like it's recorded through like on a boombox. Yeah, I would check them out if you've never heard them. Yeah.
For
DB
sure.
Raw Punk Disclose.
Hell yeah. I'll definitely have to go check that out. Um, so what, like when you said I'm gonna do HGT, where did that like come from?
Oh, the earliest. So I have a friend. Well, he lives in Japan now, but he's from in Minnesota, and he did a band out in Minnesota called Bodies Lay Broken. Um, they were a grindcore band that ran from like 98 until like maybe like well, they stopped in 2006, but um they just played like a festival here in the States like maybe about a year ago or something like that. Yeah, but my friend Harlan, he does a ton of his own solo bands. and he has this one. Do you know Archigathis from Canada?
Mm-mm.
So Archigathis is like um they're like the modern uh flagship bears for Mincecore. Um and the main guy, Dan is like a super ridiculous drummer. So Dan and Harlan had this band called Extremely Brutal, and they were performing it at a fest in Ohio. And Harlan asked me if I was interested in playing second guitar with them. I was like, yeah, sure. And so I learned the set, and then I had so much fun doing it. I was like, because like at the time I was only doing a Rip to Shreds, and I think that was the only band I was doing at the time. So I was like, okay, this is really sick. I kind of want to do my own gore thing. So that's really kind of where it started after Harlan asked me to help him out his band, and then I was like, no, I got to do this stuff for myself.
Yeah, it's funny how you're like, yeah, I'll help you out, and then it sparks something. You're like, oh shit, I gotta go do that now.
Right, right.
So how's the response with the new album been?
I think it's pretty good. Everyone I've shown it to, they're hella into it. I'm going to be going on tour with my friends from Taiwan. We're going to hit up the UK, ending at Chimpy Fest, and then you know everyone at the fest is like homies. Ton of absolutely sick bands. It's gonna be fun. Yeah.
Right on. So who are the people from Taiwan that you're going out with?
So the band is called Mixoma. They're like a Gore Grind band, two piece. And actually, I just toured with them, in December. We did like 5 days from like Sacramento down to San Diego. We played at that festival that Bodies Laid Broken played at, and then flew back to Taiwan with them. We did two more shows in Taiwan, and then I went to Japan and did another like three shows there, but Mixuma didn't come with me there. But yeah, yeah. So they're good friends. Um, like the main guy from Mixuma, Derek, he's a drummer. I met him like maybe five, six, almost 6 years ago, in Taiwan when I went to see a Butcher ABC show that he organized, and then he actually ended up on the first live version of Rip to Shreds, doing vocals. We did a split together with his other bands. So yeah, great dude. Been friends for a long time. So excited to tour with him again.
Right on. So that's always cool when you're able to go out with friends and see new places and play shows. It's
Yeah, I mean, I feel like a lot of bands. Maybe this is less so in the punk and grindcore scene, but like death metal bands, it's a little bit more like business. You go on tour with bands you might not like listening to, or maybe you've never met them before you guys went on tour, and it's just like, okay, well, we have to promote ourselves, get out on the road and go with these people that are good for our career or whatever. And then grindcore feels more like, you're having fun with your buddies,
yeah.
which I really enjoy. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, and at the end of the day, it's what's the goal? I feel like when people go into like the death metal vein, it's death metal, thrash, black metal, right? They're very much they have a goal in mind, and it's let's and I'm not obviously not everyone, but a lot of them, right? They're let's go out there, let's make money, let's do this thing. And I feel like with, when you get into grind and things like that, it's more of a, let's really have a good time and just see what kind of crazy shit we can come up with.
Yeah, for sure. But maybe you can just blame that on like no one listens to grindcore, so it's like you couldn't do this even if you wanted to for money.
That's fair. I mean that shit, that's how death metal was for many, many years. And I feel like a lot of black metal is still like that. There's like one or two bands where you're like, oh yeah, I know they're black metal, but that's it, you know?
Yeah. I mean, even for like, because like, I mean, I know a lot of the death metal dudes that are in like the popular touring bands now, and it's still like a real struggle,
Hmm.
unless you like really hit the right trends at the right time, like Tsunami, for example. I mean, they're hardcore, not death metal, but like hardcore is on this big rise, and they hit just at the right time that they can make it their career for now, at least.
Yeah.
And death metal, even for popular bands, like Undeath, Tomb Mold, you know, it's not like they can quit their jobs and do this.
Right.
Just do it. Yeah, yeah.
Well, and I think that's where a lot of people, really don't understand with bands is they think, oh, you're out in a touring band, like you've got to be doing good. Well, shit. What's your definition of good, right? Like we made gas and got food to make it to the next town. Like that's awesome. You know,
Maybe we made a couple bucks on our shirts so we can make more shirts.
yeah. Yeah, it's definitely not well, we're fucking rich. We can just, you know, not have a day job. I mean, I feel like I probably 90% of the music community all has day jobs that helps fund, all
Right.
all the rest of the stuff that they do. So what's your day job?
I just do software. And I work from home, so it's pretty nice. Gives me a bunch of stability. Lets me uh lets me put money into really stupid things that don't make any money, like this band.
Yeah. Uh, it's great to have that, to be able to do that and to like
You know.
whether you make money with it or not, like shit, you're doing stuff that hell
Yeah,
almost,
I think the biggest thing about having a day job is like it just lets you not have to worry about like your projects doing well so that you can keep doing them.
yeah,
It because like if I was worrying about, having to make rent, how am I gonna make rent this month, right? Then maybe I would have to be like I would think maybe I should pander a bit with this next thing, or make something that I know is gonna sell for sure. And
yeah.
that just kind of sucks on an artistic level.
So it does. And I think you're right. I think a lot of bands do trend that way too, because they want to make it their sole thing, and which I absolutely get, right? Like music, no one there's probably people, but I think the majority of people don't get into music because they're like, oh, I'm gonna get rich and famous. No, it's you do it because it's like your heart and soul yearns for it, So
I
there's
mean, you do it because you feel like you have to,
yeah,
right? Like you can't imagine not doing it. And then at some point you realize, well, I got to make a living. And then you start, like, okay, does the crowd respond to this mosh riff? Do we put in more mosh riffs so we're a better live band? That kind of stuff.
yeah,
And
yeah.
that really sucks.
It really does. So I assume that you listen to a broad range of music.
Uh, yeah, sort of. I mean, metal, I'm like mostly like I listen to death metal and grindcore and like heavy metal, and that's kind of it. I don't really, I'm not really a doom guy, not really a thrash guy. Outside of that, I mean, I listen to like some pop artists, but I love Taylor Swift. I'm not so big on her new album. I think the previous ones are better. But yeah, pop, like some 80s jazz fusion, and then I mean that's kind of it. There's
I mean, that's a broad
yeah, yeah.
range though.
Yeah, but
Grind,
I'm thinking of, like there's huge a huge amount of, like EDM,
subgenres.
dance music, hip hop, all the stuff that, I don't really listen to. So, but yeah, I guess you can say I listen to a fair amount of different stuff.
Yeah. So it's, it's funny though, right? Because I think most people are most musicians I think are like that. It's not whether you play death metal or grind or whatever, that's not all you listen to, right? You listen to a lot of other shit. Now I'm really I love doom. I just love all kinds of music. Um so to have all those influences, I can't make music. It
Mhm.
always turns out like absolute garbage because I'm like, oh, this sounds really good with this. And then I listen to it and I'm like, oh, that's fucking terrible, dude. What are you doing? Jesus Christ.
Yeah, but I think that's something that, every musician has to push past when they start. Because I remember the first couple of songs I wrote, like they're never gonna see the light of day. They're really bad, and that's just kind of like a rite of passage that everyone needs to go through before they can start, making things that don't suck.
Yeah, that's fair. I feel like everything I do sucks, so whatever. Probably like most people, I guess. So,
Are you like a drummer, bassist,
uh,
guitarist?
so I started out playing piano. Then I learned violin, clarinet, and then drums, and then bass, guitar and bass.
Mhm.
So just, a mix of everything. But I've not, like even I've got, keyboards and guitars galore at the house. And I picked up a guitar a couple of times last year, but other than that, I haven't really I probably haven't played in over 10 years. Now I tickle whatever that is doing this and going to live shows and not putting my not putting my music out because it's fucking terrible.
Can
Uh
always be better.
yeah. So with the latest album, do you have I assume you have physical copies of it?
Yes. So Obliteration Records from Japan, they're doing this CD. Um, and then me, along with some other friends of mine, we're working on getting a vinyl version out, hopefully end of year, something like that. Yeah.
Right on. That's that's my forte. I love the vinyl. Um it's so damn expensive though. Like
Uh, you mean just to buy or like
yeah,
producing it or
to buy.
I think I mean what are major label like Century Media is selling them at what like $30?
Yeah, like I think I gotta think. I think for a single album, I've I've picked them up for 30, 35, somewhere in that range. And then, of course, double albums, you're 40 to 50. Um, I got a I got a deal on one that actually just arrived today. Um, it was they have three variants, but like one label was doing two variants, another label
Mm,
was doing a different one.
mm,
And then the label that did the two is like they're $20 a piece. I think it was either $20 a piece or $25 a piece. And then you got like $10 off if you bought both of them. And I was like, well, shit. I'm gonna,
yeah. I think a lot of underground labels because I also run a label with my friend called Nameless Grave, and we mostly do like death metal and heavy metal and a lot of like heavy metal reissues. Like we try our best to keep prices to like $20 an LP, but everything's just getting more and more expensive.
yeah.
Especially with the Apollo fire that happened a couple years ago.
Mhm.
Um Yeah, after that, everyone's like, where the hell do we get our masters made now?
Yeah. Well, and like I feel like over the last probably 10 years, the uptick in vinyl has been, great for someone like me because I literally, if there's an artist that I listen to, I want to have it on vinyl. Like I always try to support the artist. I mean, shit, it's a drop in the bucket or whatever, but now you look at my record collection, you go, holy fuck, I didn't even know that came out on vinyl. Um, but so many people move that direction that all, last year, year before, those press times were, I talked to one company, they were 12 to, what was it, 12 to 18 months or something like that.
Oh yeah, during the yeah, there was period of time, I think around 2021 to like 22, where everything was just like absolutely slammed. And only in the past like year or so are we coming back down to like, you know, 3 month turnaround times.
Yeah.
But I mean, I honestly, because I'm when I grew up, right, that was just about when CDs were starting to fall out of favor, and like um so like when I started getting into music, I was still buying CDs, or just starting to pirate pirate them off like Kazaa or whatever there was. Um so even though, across all my various bands, I sell CDs, I sell cassettes, I sell vinyl, but for me, there's not much nostalgia attached to it, and
Mm.
I don't really see like point in physical um pressings. So I kind of wonder like how much longer I can kind of hold on. I don't know,
It'll go
you
through a
know,
cycle, I think.
yeah.
It'll cycle just like it has been doing. I mean, for me, come on, cat, stop. Um, she wants to chew my cord. Uh, for me, there's a lot of nostalgia to, attached to the vinyl. I mean, some of my earliest memories are sitting there with my headphones on, reading, and not having to go, what is that word right there on that, cassette or whatever. Um, so it's funny. For whatever reason, I've always been really, really attracted to vinyl, and that's probably the reason is the nostalgia aspect. I really enjoy the sound of it too, right? Because not there's not two albums that are the same. You can take the exact same record, but they're going to have different imperfections. So there's a different crackle or what have you. And I'm really trying to push that onto my kids. My daughter actually, her boyfriend just bought her a new record player yesterday. And so we were talking about it tonight. I said, did you listen to some records today? She's like, yeah, I did. Now I got to go get some more. And I was like, yes, and if nothing else, it's to support an artist that's out there doing something that you enjoy, right?
So one thing I do like about the physical format, that might be lost on a lot of kids growing up right now, because um because we still listen to like whole albums, right? Because we had CDs. I mean, you could press skip, just skip ahead to the songs you want to listen to.
Yeah.
But I feel like in general, people like kind of still listen to full albums. And then now with streaming, it's like everything's playlists. People, they, hey, this band I like put out a new album. I'm gonna take the two songs like the best and stick them in this, just force um it does force the listener to actually listen to the whole thing, especially because trying to come up with a kind of cohesive experience when you listen to the album
Yeah.
is, I think it's gonna be a pretty big consideration in every band's mind.
Yeah. Well, I like the thought of, a band puts an album out and it's a full piece of work, you know. Whereas I think there are some artists out there that you listen to the album as a whole and you go, oh, they like this isn't a whole piece of art. You've got a good song here, and everything else is just kind of like, yeah, they phoned it in when they were writing or recording or whatever, and it's shit, right? Um, but you get more into that's why I like more underground stuff is you listen to it and the band um it's a full piece of art. You know, you find it I find it hard to skip, to skip songs on the album. I mean, that's I'm I'm going all day every day and I'll tell you I pick an artist, I pick an album and I hit play and I've listened to that entire fucking album and then I'm like, okay, I'm gonna go get this artist and listen to this album.
Right, right. I think there's like a lot of different pressures, I guess. Um, Especially if you're talking about underground artists, like, around my level up to like, I don't know, let's say like Two Mold or something like that. And then, you have like commercial artists that are like on the level of I don't know, like Behemoth or something, you know? And so I think the more underground artists don't really have any like deadlines or pressures because it's like something we do for fun at the end of the day.
Yeah.
Like if we got to go on tour without a new album, who cares? We'll just go on tour because it's gonna be fun. But then like when you're doing it like as your job and you have obligations and you're like, well, we have, so many people on our payroll, we got to do XYZ. We have to have this album out at this date and we can't change that. Then that's when people, you end up with like whatever. We have some good songs and we'll just write some more because we have to have the album out. Can't help it. It's got to be out.
Yeah, absolutely agree, right? I think there's a lot of that. People they feel the pressure because staffing or whatever. It might just be a contractual obligation with a label, right? There are some of those labels out there that are oh, you want to sign with us? Awesome. You're going to do 6 records and we want them over the next 7 or 8 years. And you're like, what the fuck? Like,
Yeah, I've seen some real shitty contracts, and I tell my friends don't sign those. Some people, they end up signing them anyways, but what
yeah.
can you do?
Well, I think, oh, I want a record deal so bad. And it's like I can understand that. And right on the flip side, I understand that you know, if you're gonna do something, do it right. Like I really like what I Hate God has done with theirs. Like they early on they did the label thing and um my understanding is they got burnt pretty bad from one of the labels, Century Media or someone, right? Burned them pretty bad and they sat back and said, "Okay, we're going to do it our way then." Right? So now they pay for everything, they own everything, and then they license, you know, the the album out to a label like, "Cool, you can promote it and do all your thing and but everything's ours. You don't own shit," which is where I think music should get back to. You know, we've spent so many years um, uh, catering to these people who aren't musicians, right? And selling off pieces of ourselves so we can go out and tour the world and we can say we've got a record deal and all of this shit. And man, at the end of the day, if the band said, I mean, if the product is good, the product is fucking good. It's gonna sell regardless of if you got Geffen or Capital behind you or if you're out there hustling yourself. Look at um I know you don't listen to hip hop, but like Tech Nine, he did it all himself and
Hmm.
11 I guess 11 or 12 years ago he was bringing in about 15 million a year and I think that I just read something last year that was like he's bringing in between 85 and 100 million a year
That's crazy.
to do it yourself, like he owns everything, which is like these conversations, I think help someone who might not know that that's a possibility. And hopefully it at least starts a conversation with themselves where they're like, oh yeah, like fuck cat, stop. Um, or they're like, okay, how do we do that? How do we make this happen?
I think the biggest barrier of entry for a band, like in terms of like when they start thinking about record labels or deals, promotion or whatever. I think something that every band has to deal with is that people's attention spans and energy is like there's like a finite amount, right? Like it would be awesome if I had the energy to care about 1,000 bands at the same time, but you know, in a day I could probably only care about like two or three bands, and so and I might not end up like if I stream an album, I might not actually end up spending money on that band because like I didn't like it enough or whatever. So I think the thing that bands have trouble with is actually getting people to listen to their music, right? Because there's, in most ways, the recording revolution, home recording, being able to put your music out on the internet without needing to go through the whole label system, or you can have like instant worldwide distribution now at basically zero, well, like what, $30 to one of those online distributors, whereas 30 years ago that'd be impossible without tens of thousands of dollars.
Yeah.
And so really it's like a problem of how do you break through this absolute oversaturation of music? And in that sense I understand why label deals can still be attractive, because they have more clout, more resources. Yeah, but in that you are selling. I mean, sign the contract, you got these contractual obligations. I mean, it's kind of like a
Yeah.
juggling balance. Yeah,
Yeah, it's a balancing act. And I say that I don't think all labels are evil, right? I think there are some really good labels out there that are doing some really great things for artists, right? Had a really good conversation with Todd Severin from Ripple Music. I know you don't listen to Doom, right? But he puts out a lot of Doom, and one of the points that he made for his label is that like Ripple Music has a following. So if he's putting out a new album, they're gonna get some listening there, right? And then it's this kind of stuff, right? The little Joe Blow who's doing like myself, right? Doing a podcast out of his basement, who's like, man, I really enjoy your music. Let's fucking talk. Let's do some content and put it out there because shit, everything I've not everything, but a lot of it now is content. How much can I be in front of someone's face and then doing the things like going out and touring and getting in front of people, which I mean, it's not it's not cost effective usually to go out and tour.
yeah. For HGT specifically, I'm really lucky because when I do live shows, uh, there's only myself. So I use a drum machine and then play guitars and do vocals. And then so like my other band, Rip to Shreds, were like a four-piece, right? So I gotta coordinate four dudes' schedules. Anyone who wants to bring us out, like we have so many more um
Peace.
expenses,
Yeah.
if we're flying out somewhere that's like four times the tickets, accommodation, if we're not sleeping on the floor, then that's at least twice the amount of rooms or whatever, and everything just adds up. And then when I go out on tour with HGT, it's like, hey, it's just me. I can do a whole tour just like in a sedan. drive myself around.
That's fucking cool. Like out here, my little gas saver, like hell yeah. So, with all your touring, is there a memory that really sticks out as like, man, this was a really, really good fucking show or, really good tour that I did?
Uh, I mean, like for shows, I think for HGT, the thing that sticks out the most, is getting my butt over to Japan, playing Asakusa, and this music is a little bit ridiculous, and because it's all based around anime, um, I think a lot of the a lot of the audiences that I play to here in the States, like for whatever reason, there's not because maybe if I was like playing like slam or brutal death metal, there would be more of like an anime fan and slam fan overlap, but I guess not for grindcore. And then so like fans here stateside, they like get where I'm coming from the musical point of view, but maybe they don't really understand what the songs are about. And then so it's really cool when I hopped over to Japan and everyone like understands like samples I throw in, the references, and it's like, oh, these people get it.
That's fucking cool. It's like, oh, it's not all for nothing. All right. So how many times have you played Japan?
So just the one time, so those three shows that I played in Japan last year, and then I'm going to Japan again next year, but with my other band, Rip to Shreds. Um, there's I think a lot of like, punk and grindcore bands, they see Japan as like kind of this mecca for, fast, noisy shit. And in a lot of ways, it is. The audiences there are like super passionate. They all get what it's about. Um, but I think it's really easy to romanticize, a foreign country, 4,000 miles away, or whatever, and think, oh, it's going to be so much better than it is in wherever they are. But, actually, it's pretty damn good where you are. It's just different there.
Yeah.
It's not better there. It's just a little bit different. And I think, especially when it comes to like death metal, because like for a couple of years, where I'm from, the Bay Area, they were like, "Oh, Oakland death metal is so amazing. Being in the scene there must be so amazing." I'm like, I mean, it's okay, it's fine. I play here, it's like fine, you know. But other people are like, "Oh, we're in Oakland. We're playing Oakland. Fuck yeah!" So it's just kind of funny like that.
Well, um, it's like the stars in the eyes, right? Like, shit bands did it with Seattle in the 90s and fucking Tampa and in the 80s. And it's real funny because you're right. Like everyone is like, not everyone. The way I should phrase this is some bands say, man, our scene fucking sucks. And they go to another town. They're like, man, you guys are doing great. And other times they're like, our scene's fucking awesome and your scene fucking sucks. And it's like, hold on, like,
Yeah. I mean, really, that sort of thing is just kind of like I would say like it just reflects your own attitude towards it.
yeah,
You can either be real bitchy about how much your own scene sucks, or you can just like view it in a hella negative way, or like, hey, what we have here is pretty good. I can have fun with it, and then I mean, you just feel better about yourself when you do when you take that kind of point of view.
yeah. Well, and what uh, when you're negative about shit, you push everything away, right? Whereas when you're positive with shit, you really attract it a lot more, and that's um, it's funny talking to a lot of the larger successful bands, successful, right? They all fucking support each other, right? Someone comes
Mhm.
out with a new band and fuck, there's texts flying like, dude, that's so fucking good. Like, way to go, kick ass. And I think oftentimes in the underground scene, there's not that doesn't happen. Like it happens, but not as much, right? I think there's
I would say that it happens, but like maybe for successful bands, they're kind of like more in the limelight, and then it's kind of like Metal Injection will say, oh, okay, Corey Taylor tells Tony Iommi his new band is awesome, and then it because it's kind of like they're living under the spotlight, so any like tiny whatever they do gets amplified to everyone. Because like whenever my friends put out some new shit, fuck yeah, and my friends do the same. So I feel like that still exists on the underground level. It's just like no one's writing TMZ articles about us.
Right. Well, so when I say that just because of the conversations that I have, right?
Hmm.
Like some of those larger artists, it's great to hear them go, "Oh, dude, so and so's got a new fucking band. Like I'm super excited for him." Not even like TMZ and that kind of shit. Um, and and I say not so much in the underground, but I see it a lot, like here, right? Because this is where I am. I'm in Louisville, and I feel like the majority of the bands here are all rooting for each other, and they're showing up to everyone's shows. And like 20 years ago, you'd show up and there's three or four people, and now you show up and there's the fucking room is packed, and you're like, I can't fucking move. Like, all right, this is what we want to see.
Yeah, yeah.
You know?
Did you notice like specifically before and after the pandemic, like participation levels at live
Yeah.
shows?
Post
Yeah,
post pandemic, it's been a, a hell of a lot better.
yeah.
Um,
People realized what they were missing.
Yeah, that's exactly it. It I knew her, way before the fucking COVID was a thing. I was like, I don't want to miss a live show. Like if there's one, I want to go and see it because shit, you don't know, right? You don't know when it's going to be that artist slash show, or someone might die, or like we went to see I went to see fucking Knocked Loose.
Hmm.
So they're from here, and they did two big shows here for like the album release. We're at like a 2,000 capacity venue. Both of those nights sold out. Well, the night before both of those shows, they did a pop-up show in this little tiny three or 400 capacity fucking room. And that place was nuts, dude. There was EMT people chasing hurt people. Like, saw one dude had a big freaking shiner. He was going to be feeling that for a week. I'm like, ah, fuck. But
Yeah, for sure.
you know, to to see that. Of course, Knocked Loose is a huge in our world. Um, but just to see the amount of people that were at the show and talking about the show, and the camaraderie, which is the biggest thing I think that
Hmm.
most of us want, right, with music.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I think that kind of camaraderie is what, you know, DIY grindcore is entirely based around, because without like our international network of friends, you can't go on tour, can't really do anything, So that camaraderie is so important to being able to just do what we do. No, you tell your friends, hey, I want to go on tour in, I don't know, Poland or whatever, and they're like, we got you. We have homies of homies of homies in Poland who can hook you up. And without that kind of sense of DIY community, can't do that.
No, I mean, I feel like that's what music was really built on, right? Was, oh, well, it's a common interest, right? Oh shit, you like that? Man, I fucking like that too. Funny, just real quick, funny interjection. When my wife and I first started dating, I was like, "Hey, I'm gonna go to a show," right? And she's like, "Well, I want to go," and I'm like, "All right, you can go." Like, I don't fucking care. So we go to a show, and I'm not talking to her. I'm watching the band, and she's like, "Why aren't you talking to me?" I'm like, we can talk somewhere else. Like, I'm watching the fucking band. I don't. I don't come to a show to talk, right? But then so she goes to 2 or 3 shows and she figures out like I go to a show, I'm literally there to watch the band. I don't want to fucking talk to anyone. And then between songs or between bands, I'll talk to people and I almost always leave with a new best friend, you know? She's like,
Mhm.
"What the fuck? How do you do that?" I'm like, "We just have a common interest, right? It's what we connect on. Whatever fucking band is on stage, we're enjoying it. Hey, did you see that part where, so and so fucking slammed his guitar down? How freaking sweet was that?" So, music, aside from having the human connection, music I feel is what really connects us and to have the ability to reach out to someone and say, "Hey, I want to go to Poland or Japan or whatever," and they're like, "Killer, we'll make it fucking work." Like, you don't feel so alone in the world.
So, it's the best part of playing music.
Yeah, for sure. So what do you hope happens with over like the next year for HGT?
I mean, once I figure out touring plans for my other band for next year, start booking booking more shows for next year. Because like out to the end of this year, my schedule is already packed. So I'm just thinking, okay, where am I going to go next year? How can I fit that into my schedule? You know, write a few more splits, record. I mean, because I have like 2 splits recorded now, and we're just trying to figure out when to put them out, that kind of stuff. Um, I mean, yeah, just keep on keeping on.
Hell yeah. So what is there like one place that you really want to go and play that you haven't yet?
Winnipeg.
Oh,
I'm not kidding. Win because Arch Agathis is from Winnipeg. Dan is a friend of mine, so Arch Agathis has come through my area a whole bunch of times. I still haven't seen him yet. Finally, next week at a Zesta Grande, they're playing this big punk festival like 10 miles down the road or whatever. Finally, I'll get to see Arch Agathis, but I want to play with them in their hometown. I want to do like a tour across Canada, so we'll see if I can make that happen next year.
all right. Well, I want to see it happen. I'm gonna hold you to the fire. Make it happen. Uh, so how much time a year do you spend on the road?
So I mean, this year? No, last year was the most I did. I think I did like 30 days total last year across 2 bands. This year, this year is probably gonna be like 20. Um, so I have decent like PTO, but well, like 20-30 is probably the most I can spend.
Mm.
I wish I could do more. I have to get a new job to do that.
No, you already work from home. Just take your computer with you.
It's true. Yeah.
I would be like, yeah, I'm at home. I'd be like, you see those reels where the dude's got the green screen like behind him, like
Yeah.
surfing and shit.
Yeah, I mean, but there's no way I would have the energy to do anything if like I'm on the road. I like just sitting in the van is probably the worst part of touring. Like you're tired and you're bored, but you can't actually do anything, and so you have no energy. So you're just like, I'm sleeping in the van while someone else is driving because there isn't anything to do.
Yeah, and then that sleep sucks.
Yeah.
You're like, oh, this, damn it, don't hit those bumps so hard. Turn down the music, whatever. That's fuck. Don't miss those days. All right. Andrew, I greatly appreciate you taking time out of your night and chatting with me, especially on such short notice. I
Sure,
think we
man.
had a great fucking conversation. I would like to see you come through my area.
Yes. I don't know about next year. Maybe next year. We'll see if I can make it happen.
Yeah. Yep, you'd be impressed. Like it will, if you want, we can connect, and I can get you connected with some bands here that have a crowd, and
Hmm.
you'll Metal Mondays is the one you want to do because they have like a built-in fucking crowd.
Right, for sure, for sure.
But yeah, again, right. Thank you, dude. I greatly appreciate it. I look forward to really digging deeper into your catalog and checking it all out.
Appreciate it, man. Thanks for having me on.
Absolutely, dude. Go and have yourself a great night. All right.
All right, you too, man.
Thanks. See ya.